5 signs you're special, but you'll die if you don't know. Have you ever walked into a room and felt like you didn't belong? Not because anyone said it, but because something deep inside told you that you were simply not like the rest? Have you ever looked at the world around you, felt its rhythm, watched its people move, speak, and chase their lives, and silently wondered why you couldn't move like them, think like them, feel like them? Have you ever carried questions you couldn't voice out loud, wounds no one else could see, and dreams that felt too big, too wild, too dangerous for this world? If so, this message is for you. You see, there's a kind of person walking this earth who doesn't quite fit the mold. They were born into a world that was never meant to hold them. They're misunderstood, mislabeled, and often misdiagnosed. They feel everything too deeply. They think too much. They speak truths that make others uncomfortable. And though they are often surrounded by people, they still feel completely alone. You might be one of them. And here's the catch. If you are, and you don't know it, the world will slowly kill the fire inside you. It won't come with a knife or a bullet. It will come with silence, conformity, and a slow erosion of your soul. It will come with shame, with being told you're too much, too sensitive, or too intense. It will come with years of trying to be what you're not, of hiding what you really are, and of slowly suffocating the gift that was placed inside of you from birth. You were never meant to be like them. You were meant to disrupt the system. You were meant to challenge the status quo, to shake the ground beneath comfortable lies, to carry truths that cost something to speak. But if no one ever told you that, if no one ever affirmed your difference, your fire, your intensity, then you might have started to believe that something was wrong with you. There isn't. In fact, what feels like a curse is often a calling. What feels like isolation is often divine preparation. But to survive it, to truly live and not die a slow death of identity, you have to know what you are. You have to know the signs. You have to awaken to the truth that you are not broken. You are rare. You are needed. And you are dangerous to a world built on fear, control, and conformity. This speech is not a motivational talk. It's a lifeline, because there are 5 signs that mark you as special, marked, chosen, and set apart. But if you never recognize them, you may die without ever living. The silent calling. You always felt different, but never knew why. From the moment you were a child, something inside you whispered, "You're not like the others." It wasn't arrogance. It wasn't pride. It was something quieter, more sacred, a subtle knowing, buried beneath the noise of the world. You didn't quite know how to explain it. All you knew was that you didn't see the world the same way. While others played without care, you stood on the edge, observing, feeling, sensing. While others seemed to follow the script of life so easily, smiling on cue, fitting into groups, chasing what they were told, you felt like you were acting, pretending, walking a path that wasn't truly yours. This is the first sign, the silent calling. It's not loud. It doesn't scream in your ears. It hums inside your bones. It comes to you in quiet moments, when you're alone, when the world is asleep, when there's no noise to drown it out. It comes in questions like, why do I feel so different? Or, why do I see things no one else talks about? You might have dismissed it, pushed it down. Maybe someone told you that you were just overthinking, too sensitive, or being dramatic. Maybe you were even punished for it, made to feel like your depth was a flaw, your curiosity a burden, your uniqueness a liability. But here's the truth they never told you. The feeling of not belonging was never meant to isolate you. It was meant to awaken you. You see, the first sign that you are special, that you are marked, set apart, is this unshakable sense that you were not made to fit in. You were made to stand out. But the tragedy is this. The world does not reward those who stand out. Not at first. It punishes them. It crushes them. It teaches them to conform. And so, most people, when faced with this inner knowing, do the one thing they believe will keep them safe. They hide it. They mute their voice. They play small. They fake smiles in rooms that drain their soul. They dress their difference in masks of normalcy and walk around hoping no one will notice the fire behind their eyes. But you cannot silence the soul. You can bury it. You can numb it. But it never goes away. It waits. It watches. And if you ignore it long enough, it turns into something darker, an ache, a restlessness, a quiet depression that whispers, "You are not living your life." How many people die like that? How many people go to the grave never having answered the call they felt since childhood? Not because they were unworthy, but because no one ever told them what it was. This is why we must talk about it. Because this first sign is not some poetic metaphor. It's real. And if you're feeling it, if something in you is stirred right now, it's not coincidence. It's confirmation. You might think, but I don't have anything special. I don't have talent. I don't have a gift. Let me tell you something that the world will never dare to say. It's not always about talent. Sometimes, being special is simply about vision. It's about seeing life differently, feeling life deeper, sensing things before they happen, speaking truths that others are afraid to name. That is a gift in itself. But it's a dangerous gift if you don't know how to carry it. If you don't know that this inner world you live in is sacred, you might begin to hate it. You might begin to believe you're broken. But you are not broken. You are just ahead of your time. You might notice things others overlook. You might feel the weight of the room when no one says a word. You might hear someone speak and immediately sense what they're not saying. You might have intense dreams, deep emotions, or a strange sense of purpose you can't quite name. These are not flaws. They are signals, indicators that you are built for something different. But here is the hard truth. If you do not recognize this first sign, if you ignore that inner calling long enough, it will turn against you. You will become your own enemy. You will try to suppress what is real in you just to be accepted by those who do not understand you. You will surround yourself with people who validate your mask but never meet your soul. And eventually, you will forget who you are altogether. That is the slow death I am warning you about. Not the death of your body, but the death of your essence. The moment you stop listening to that quiet voice within is the moment you begin to vanish. And the world will go on. The crowds will keep moving. But you will live like a ghost in your own skin, present, but not alive. So I ask you this. Have you felt it? That invisible thread pulling you towards something you can't name? That ache in your chest when you see injustice? That fire in your mind when you imagine something more, something real, something powerful? That is the first sign. And the first step is not to fix it. The first step is to honor it. To say out loud, yes, I felt this. I've always felt this. Because once you acknowledge it, you awaken it. And when you awaken that part of yourself, the journey truly begins. The path won't be easy. People may still not understand. But now you understand. And that changes everything. You're not crazy. You're not lost. You're not broken. You're called. And you're just beginning to remember. The weight of awareness. Your pain is not ordinary. There's a kind of pain that doesn't come from a broken bone, or a cut, or an obvious loss. It doesn't scream. It doesn't bleed. But it stays. It lingers in your chest. It presses down on your shoulders when no one else is around. And the cruelest part of it is that the world doesn't see it. So you walk around smiling, working, surviving, while carrying something that feels like it could crush you from the inside out. That is not ordinary pain. That is awakened pain. And it's the second sign that you are different. You see, people who are marked, who are chosen for something greater, don't just feel more, they are wounded deeper. They are not allowed to sleep through life like everyone else. Their eyes are forced open earlier, wider, and more painfully. While others can ignore the suffering of the world, you can't. While others distract themselves with shallow pleasures, you feel the hollowness underneath. You hear the silence between words. You sense when something isn't right, even when everything looks perfect on the outside. This sensitivity is not weakness. It is awareness. And awareness is both a gift and a burden. It is a gift because it connects you to truth. You can see behind masks. You can feel what others hide. You can sense energy in a room that no one talks about. And you know, even if you pretend not to. But it is a burden because the world is not built for truth. It is built for comfort, for performance, for surface-level illusion. So when you carry this kind of inner awareness, it doesn't make life easier. It makes it harder, more lonely, more intense, more painful. And if no one ever told you that your pain was sacred, you might start believing it's shameful. You might think, why am I like this? Why do I care so much? Why do I feel things no one else seems to notice? You might even believe something is wrong with you. But it isn't. The truth is, your pain is a signal, a message, a second sign that your soul has been tuned to a different frequency. But here's the dangerous part. If you don't recognize it as sacred, if you don't understand what it truly is, your pain will turn inward. It will begin to eat at you. You'll think you're too sensitive, too emotional, too much. And so, you'll try to harden yourself, numb yourself, quiet the feeling. But what you're really doing is killing yourself slowly. Because the moment you start silencing your pain is the moment you start silencing your power. The third sign is this. You see what others don't want to see. You speak what others are afraid to speak. You ask questions that shake foundations. And you notice patterns in people, in relationships, in society, that most people refuse to acknowledge. That ability to see beyond the surface, that is the mark of someone dangerous. Not in a violent way, but in a truth-revealing way. And that makes people uncomfortable. That makes you a target. Because we live in a world that rewards ignorance, that praises politeness over truth, that celebrates those who play along rather than those who challenge. And so when you come into a room with eyes that pierce through illusion, when your very presence confronts the lies others depend on, they won't always thank you. Sometimes they will attack you. They will mock you. They will isolate you. Not because you're wrong, but because you're right in a way they don't know how to handle. So what happens? You shrink. You go quiet. You stop speaking up. Not because you lost your voice, but because you learned that your truth made people uncomfortable. And yet, even in your silence, the awareness doesn't leave. It haunts you. It taps on your heart in the middle of the night. It follows you into jobs that don't fulfill you, into conversations that feel fake, into friendships that drain you. Because once your soul is awake, it will not go back to sleep. And that, right there, is the war within. You want to live like everyone else, free from this burden, free from this depth. You want to not care. You want to laugh at meaningless things, chase what everyone chases, and just feel normal. But you can't, because you were never meant to. And the longer you try, the more exhausted you become. You see, many people think being special means having a spotlight, fame, applause, power. But often, the most special people are the ones who suffer silently, because they carry a light that hasn't yet been accepted by the world. Their suffering is not for nothing. It's a part of their becoming. Their pain is not random. It's the training ground for their purpose. But if they don't understand that, they begin to die. Not all at once. Slowly, quietly. Their creativity fades. Their joy dims. Their energy drains. Not because they're lazy, not because they're broken, but because they are trying to survive in a world that demands they deny who they are. And that is a death more tragic than any physical one. So if you feel this pain, this deep, unexplainable weight, you are not crazy. You are not cursed. You are being called. But to survive this level of awareness, you must stop trying to be like everyone else. You must stop numbing what makes you powerful. You must stop apologizing for your sensitivity, your intuition, your insight. You must begin to see these not as flaws, but as tools, weapons, gifts, because they are. And the world desperately needs people like you. Not the masked version, not the polite version, but the raw, aware, honest version of you. The one who sees too much, feels too much, and speaks even when your voice shakes. The one who has been to the edge and came back with wisdom no book could teach. That you is rare, that you is real, and that you must live. Not just survive, not just blend in, but live, fully, authentically, unapologetically. Because your awareness, as heavy as it feels, is not here to destroy you. It is here to awaken you. And once awakened, you are no longer a victim of your pain. You are a vessel for purpose. The isolation that precedes destiny. There is a moment in the life of every person who is marked, truly marked, when the world begins to push them away. Friends begin to change. Family grows distant. Conversations become shallow. Invitations stop coming. People begin to misunderstand you, misinterpret you, or worse, fear you. And you start to wonder, what did I do wrong? But let me offer you a truth that will pierce through that confusion. You are not being rejected. You are being repositioned. This is the third sign that you are not ordinary. You will experience deep isolation, not because you're unworthy of connection, but because you are being prepared for a connection that is sacred. You are not like them. You were never meant to be part of the crowd. You were designed to lead, to speak, to heal, to challenge, to stand. And to do that, you must be separated from what is common, comfortable, and corrupting. You may not realize it yet, but isolation is not a punishment. It is a refining fire. Most people fear being alone because they associate it with being unloved. But you, if you are truly among the rare ones, will be called into solitude so that you can hear a voice the world drowns out. You will be pulled away from the noise so that you can begin to hear your own thoughts, your own convictions, your own truth. That solitude is not empty. It is full of preparation. But it doesn't feel like preparation, does it? It feels like abandonment. It feels like heartbreak. It feels like betrayal. You look around and suddenly realize the people who once cheered you on are now silent. The people you once gave everything to now walk past you as if you never existed. And perhaps the cruelest part, some of them will turn on you for no clear reason at all. That is not coincidence. That is the calling. Because when you carry light, it exposes shadows. Not by shouting, not by accusing, simply by being. Your presence reveals what others have spent their lives trying to bury. And some people would rather destroy the mirror than face their reflection. That is why they pull away. That is why they talk behind your back. That is why they label you, dismiss you, isolate you. Not because you are wrong, but because your very existence reminds them of everything they are not ready to confront. But don't let that make you bitter. Let it make you clear. You are not here to convince people of your worth. You are not here to beg for a seat at a table that was never built for you. You are here to build your own table. You are here to walk a road that others fear. And yes, that road is lonely, but it leads to a destiny that most never reach. Not because they weren't called, but because they couldn't handle the silence. This stage of isolation is where many give up. They confuse the pruning for punishment. They assume that being alone means they've done something wrong. But the opposite is true. Your isolation is proof that you are entering sacred territory. When God is about to birth something powerful through you, He first removes the noise, the clutter, and the counterfeit support systems. He strips away what is not real, so that what is eternal can emerge. But the pain is real, isn't it? You miss the laughter. You miss the closeness. You miss being understood without having to explain. There is grief in outgrowing people. There is grief in rising into a version of yourself that others no longer recognize. But don't shrink to be accepted. Don't lower your light to keep others comfortable. If they were meant to walk with you into your next season, they would still be here. Not everyone is equipped to go where you're going. There are places that only the awakened can walk. There are heights that only the refined can reach. And the price for that is this. You will go through seasons where no one claps for you, where no one calls, where no one understands. And yet, you must keep walking. Not because you have proof, but because you have purpose. Not because you have applause, but because you have alignment. The fourth sign of the chosen is this. You are often misunderstood, rejected, or isolated, not despite your light, but because of it. And if you don't understand this, you will make the tragic mistake of dimming yourself to stay connected to people who were only meant to be part of your past. This world teaches us to fear being alone. But I'll tell you the truth most people never hear. Your greatest growth will happen in the wilderness. Not in the crowd, not on the stage, not in the spotlight, but in the silence, in the private wrestlings, in the quiet decisions that no one sees. That is where destiny is forged. So don't resist the isolation. Lean into it. Learn from it. Let it purify your motives, sharpen your vision, and deepen your faith. Let it expose what you were depending on. Let it burn away what was never meant to stay. Because when the time comes, when the world finally sees what was forming in the dark, you will emerge not bitter, but better. Not wounded, but wise. Not hungry for validation, but anchored in truth. And when you rise, you won't need to prove anything. Your presence will speak for itself. So if you're in the valley right now, if you're walking through silence, betrayal, or abandonment, don't curse it. Bless it. Because you're not being buried. You're being planted. And what grows from this ground will not just be beautiful. It will be unstoppable. Awakening before it's too late. You must know who you are. By now, the signs are clear. You've felt the silent calling. You've carried the unexplainable pain. You've endured the loneliness of awareness. You've lived through the isolation that stripped away everything familiar. And now, you stand at the edge of a choice, the most important one of your life. Will you wake up, or will you fade? Because here is the truth many never realize until it's too late. You will not be destroyed by the world around you. You will be destroyed by the world within you if you don't claim it. You see, being special, being chosen, is not just a matter of fate. It is a matter of recognition. You can live your entire life having the signs, carrying the marks, bearing the gifts, and still die as a shadow of who you were meant to become. Not because the calling wasn't real, but because you never said yes to it. That is the real tragedy. Not death, but dying with your truth still locked inside of you. You must know who you are. Not who you were told to be. Not who you had to pretend to be. Not who the world expected you to be. But who you were designed to be when all the noise is gone, all the pressure is silenced, and all that remains is your raw, unfiltered soul. Look back at your life. The pain wasn't random. The rejection wasn't punishment. The loneliness wasn't accidental. Every wound, every moment of confusion, every strange knowing that followed you, those were all invitations. The universe has been calling your name over and over again, waiting for you to answer. But many people never do. They choose comfort. They choose survival. They choose the dull safety of being normal over the dangerous freedom of being real. Don't be one of them. You were never meant to blend in. You were never meant to shrink. You were never meant to numb yourself into a version that makes others comfortable. You were meant to disrupt, to awaken, to reveal, to create, to carry something sacred through this lifetime. And yet, if you don't recognize the signs, if you keep waiting for the world to validate you before you validate yourself, you will waste your potential. Not because you didn't have it, but because you didn't believe it was real. That's why the fifth and final sign is this. You can no longer tolerate being disconnected from your truth. You try to fake it. You try to go along with the script. You try to smile through the hollowness. But it doesn't work anymore. It makes you sick. It drains your soul. You feel it, don't you? That ache when you deny your voice. That exhaustion when you betray your instincts. That heaviness in your chest when you silence your truth. That is your soul revolting. Because it knows. It knows who you are. And the longer you pretend not to know, the more it will turn against you. The depression, the anxiety, the bitterness, the burnout. These are not signs of failure. They are symptoms of self-abandonment. You've outgrown the version of yourself that was built for survival. Now, you must build the one made for purpose. And yes, it will cost you. It may cost you friendships. It may cost you approval. It may cost you the comfort of being liked. But what you gain in return is priceless. Your life, your voice, your alignment, your fire, your peace. Not the peace that comes from everyone liking you, but the peace that comes from finally liking yourself. But here's the urgency. You don't have forever. You may think you have more time to figure it out, more time to start later, more time to heal, to act, to speak, to rise. But time is not guaranteed. And that is why this speech isn't just information. It's a lifeline, a wake-up call, a mirror being held to your face so you can finally say, enough. I know who I am, and I will no longer abandon myself just to be accepted. You don't need more answers. You need more courage. Courage to be seen. Courage to walk away from what's fake. Courage to step into rooms where you're misunderstood but still speak. Courage to stop asking for permission. Courage to stand in your truth even if it scares the hell out of you. Because you will die, spiritually, emotionally, energetically, if you don't. You will live on autopilot. You will say yes when your soul is screaming no. You will betray yourself one decision at a time until one day you look in the mirror and see a stranger staring back. A version of you who never took the risk, never claimed the light, never answered the call. And you will wonder what could have been. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can choose differently. Right now, today, you can stop waiting for a sign and become the sign. You can stop looking for validation and start giving yourself permission. You can stop rehearsing the pain and start writing the purpose. This is not the end. This is the beginning. The moment you remember who you are, truly remember, you become unstoppable. Not because life gets easier, but because you get clearer. You get stronger. You stop shrinking. You stop apologizing. You walk into rooms with presence. You speak with conviction. You love without fear. You rise without shame. You are not here to fit in. You are here to wake others up by first waking up yourself. So if this message has stirred something in you, don't ignore it. That's not emotion. That's memory. Your soul is remembering the truth. And it's begging you not to go back to sleep. Because you are not too much. You are not broken. You are not crazy. You are chosen. And it's time to rise.